Over the years, I won over 100,000 euros worth of scholarships, and it was actually one of these scholarships that enabled me to go and study abroad in 3 different countries while literally getting paid for it. So, if you want to do the same but you feel crippled by the amount of fees that you are facing, then this is the right video for you, because I'm going to show you exactly how I did it so you can do it too. And this is not strictly about scholarships, because the same tips that I am going to share will also apply to getting an internship or a job abroad. And I have to say, if you can't watch the video till the end, I am sorry to break it down to you, but I don't think that you can get a scholarship. But I promise you, if you watch the whole video and apply every single tip, I guarantee you that you can easily get one. And by the way, if you need help with your Ielts test, personal statement, or interview, check the link down below where I might be able to help you out. So let's get started. So the first thing, most people think that they just need a strong personal statement that highlights their achievements or their extraordinary grades. However, this is certainly not the case. But what you actually need is something more like this. And this is a story. And I believe you need this now more than ever, because pretty much everyone can write a good statement now thanks to AI or ChatGPT. But what's going to set you apart and what is unique about you, and it cannot be replicated, is your story. And you need to learn how to tell your story in a compelling way. And this is the most important thing that you need. But there is one mistake that most people make when they are trying to write their statement or tell their story, and I'll tell you about that more later. Now, I know that some of you might be saying, but I don't really have a good story, I'm not that interesting. Just watch this video. Literally, even a spoon can have a great story, and everyone would want it if told in the right way. And this brings me to the next point. And here you need to demonstrate your language skills. So first things first, obviously you're gonna need English, and for that you're gonna have to pass either the Ielts test or TOEFL or some other accredited or accepted test. But depending on the country as well, it's also beneficial if you already have some good skills for that country where you're gonna go. So if you wanna go and study in Germany or work there, then you're obviously going to need to show some German skills. And the same applies if you're going to France, for example, or any other country. And this is exactly what I did. So I showcased my English skills with Ielts. I got 7.5 at the time. And also I took the French test, TCF, in which I got a B2 level. Well, it was really close to C1, but I messed up there a little bit. But basically, even if it's literally A1 or A2 level, then that's going to already put you ahead of some other people, because it's going to show your will, that you are willing to learn and interested in learning that language in the country where you want to go. 1 second. Thank you. Okay, now we can continue. The next thing that you can do to build a strong profile is taking an extra online course. So there are so many courses available online. They are known as MOOCs, Massive Open Online Course. And this is going to show that you are genuinely interested in that subject outside of your formal curriculum. And also is going to put you another step ahead compared to other people, for example, who are from the same background. For example, when I applied for my master's in nuclear engineering, although my bachelor's was only in mechanical engineering, I showed that I also took an extra online course, which was about the fundamentals of nuclear energy. And I remember at the time it was on a platform known as Future Learn. But there are so many other platforms where you can take literally any online course that you are interested about. For example, there is EDX, there is Coursera as well. And the best thing about it is that you can literally take these online courses totally for free and they are from some of the top universities in the whole world, like Harvard or MIT. The next tip that I would recommend is to show some work experience related to that degree or that industry, because it's going to show that you have a practical understanding about the subject beyond the theory on paper. But don't worry, if you don't have work experience or you can't get one yet, what you can do is to take part in student contests, or also depends on your field, you can also take part in hackathon. And these are student competitions where you can take part in them as a team, for example, working alongside other people, where you can demonstrate your abilities and you will also be learning as well. And the best thing about it is that you can be mentored by some industry leaders or get in touch to build your network with some of the companies that usually sponsor these competitions. For example, when I was doing my studies, I took part in the Spark contest, which was an essay competition about proposing some ideas that can be implemented in the industry. I also took part in another contest organized by the IAEA, which is basically an international organization that is obviously related to the nuclear industry, because this was my interest and this was related to my studies and work. But obviously, depending on your field, you can always find several other competitions where you can take part to build your skills and learn from industry leaders and build your network at the same time. Also, one of the key secrets as well, which can definitely help with your application being successful, is a cute dog. I mean, look at that face. If you just add a picture of that maybe on your CV or something, it definitely helps a little bit. No, just joking. He just wanted to be on the camera, but he definitely helps with other things as well. Now, the next tip that I'm going to share with you was really crucial for me, and it was a game changer that really helped me get my scholarships. And for this one, I'm going to say try to get recommendation letters from either your supervisor when you did your internship or from your work experience, or from your professor who knows you well in your studies, who mentored you during your thesis or dissertation. And if you can get 2 different recommendation letters from the industry and from the academia, then you're gonna have a killer combination, because both recommendations are gonna cover a different side to you, or they're gonna highlight different skills. But when it comes to recommendation letters, there is usually one common mistake that I see many people doing, and it could be the reason why they're not getting that scholarship. And I will tell you about that also a bit later. Now, this brings me to the next key point, and here I'm gonna say extracurricular activities. So if you are involved in some societies where you are taking some specific role there that's helping you build some skills, and also some social skills, technical skills, and obviously that's going to help you when you apply for the scholarship. But depending on the scholarship that you are applying for, the type of skills that they require, and also what type of skills that you learned, or if they are related, that you learn from your extracurricular activity. For example, one thing that I did is that I volunteered in science fairs because I was genuinely interested about that. Also, I used to volunteer for a charity shop as well, and it kind of like shows a different side to you. But as I said, take this with a pinch of salt, because the extracurricular activity, it has to be somehow related, or it should showcase some of the skills that you're going to need for that job or that scholarships. Now, the next tip that I'm going to share with you is one of my secrets that I've been gatekeeping for a while, and it's actually one of the most common mistakes that not many people know about, and it could be the difference that's going to set you apart from the rest, and it's actually what helped me land my full-time job as well. And here I'm going to say that most people are only applying for these scholarships or jobs or internships or positions that are publicly open. But the key difference here is sometimes, even if you don't see a scholarship, or if you don't see an internship position, you can always take the initiative and reach out before there is literally anything there. And that's exactly how I got my job. I was genuinely interested in that type of work, and I literally called the person and I told them that I wanted to work there. I talked about some of my skills. I tried to also understand what they are looking for to see if we are obviously like a good match or if I am a good fit for that position. And then when I knew that it was exactly what I wanted, then I persisted and I went all in. Even when it comes to scholarships, if you are genuinely interested in research, you can literally reach out to the professor or the department and tell them that you are interested in their research. And trust me, you might be surprised that they might have an open position where they could sponsor you or help you with some financial aid if you could also contribute in some way to their research, or also as a teaching assistant or something like that. Here, I'm also gonna add a pro tip. And you need to know that there are so many different types of scholarships. So there are scholarships that are offered by the government of the country where you want to go. And there is also scholarships that are offered by the universities. And then there are scholarships that are offered by your home country or the embassy of your home country in that specific country. Or there are also scholarships that are offered by trusts, and you need to basically check out all these different sources. But one thing that you should also be aware of is never, ever, ever send the same generic application to all these different scholarships. You need to understand every scholarship is different. They are looking for a certain profile with a certain set of skills. And it depends. If you're applying for a scholarship where they are looking for high achievers or academic excellence, then there is no point trying to highlight the skills that are related to something else, and vice versa. If you're applying to another scholarship where they are looking for leaders or people with strong social skills, then your academic degree might not necessarily matter that much. And this is what you need to be aware of. And usually, you should always start with the requirements of the scholarship and then reverse engineer it in a way that you relate your skills or your experiences to each and every one of those requirements if you want to get it. Now, coming back to one of the very common mistakes that most people make when they are sending these applications is that they don't highlight how they're going to use the knowledge or the experience that they're going to gain from the program that they're applying to. So if you're applying to a scholarship, most people were just going to say that I want to change the world, I want to leave my mark in the world, and that's pretty much what everyone else is saying. And the key thing here is you need to be specific. You need to have some sense of direction, and you need to kind of like know exactly in what field you're going to apply that type of knowledge, or where do you want to go. You must have some sense of direction, some sense of vision. And I know that things might change along the way, but it's always good to have a plan rather than just aimlessly saying that you want to use that knowledge to change the world. But you need to be specific exactly in what area and how, or you need to show that you have some preliminary plan of how you are planning to use that knowledge to leave your mark exactly, or to make an impact. And one more important thing is that it's not really about you. Forget about you, but make the application about what you can do to the people around you or in that specific field, or the difference that you want to create with the knowledge that you're going to gain from that program. And this is actually the key secret. Also, coming back to the mistake that's related to the recommendation letter, is that most people ask their professor or their supervisor to make a very generic recommendation letter that is not specifically or necessarily related to the job or scholarship that you are applying to. So you need to tell them in advance what is it for, where you're going to use it, and most importantly, the requirements that they are asking for. So your supervisor could highlight the exact skills that they need, or that they are related, or that they could help you specifically in that industry or that research area. And this is exactly what I did. Now this brings me to the end. If I forgot to mention any important key point, leave it in the comments down below. If you found this useful, consider subscribing, because there might be more useful videos. And if you need further help related to your Ielts, check out my previous videos where you can actually find a lot of information and resources as well. Until I see you next time, best of luck.